Calling a meeting to order, City of Laredo Special Council Meeting, Council Chambers, 1110 Houston Street, Laredo, Texas, October 27, 2025, 12 p.m. All stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag Texas pledge. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you. Go into silence, please. Go into silence, please. Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Secretary, roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor. Honorable Mayor Dr. Victor D. Trevino,
Present.
Honorable Council Member District 1, Gilbert Gonzalez. Honorable Council Member District 2, Ricardo Rangel Jr. Honorable Council Member District 3, Melissa Cigarroa. Honorable Council Member District 4, Ricardo Rick Garza.
Here.
Honorable Council Member District 5, Ruben Gutierrez Jr.
Present.
Honorable Council Member District 6, Dr. Tyler King.
Here.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem and Council Member for District 7, Vanessa Perez. Honorable Council Member District 8, Alisa Cigarroa. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll proceed with communications. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank everyone for being here today, being interested in our local government. Understanding that this is a special meeting, there are several people that want to speak on public comment. We will be starting off with agenda item number 4 directly. And I would ask if council members can hold off the discussion until we hear from the public first to avoid the temptation of grandstanding. This will be discussion with possible action on Governor Abbott's October 8th executive order and text-out letter to the city of Laredo and every city in Texas directing the removal of political ideologies and non-standard messaging from all Texas roadways or risk losing text-out funds, which is $1.6 billion for Laredo road projects. We're here to have discussion and to hear from the public, which is part of our mandate as public servants. Since the governor's executive order is based on the existing law, we have been advised by the city attorney that the city council does not have the ability to alter or delay compliance on this matter or to take action against the law. Additionally, what's at stake here, if the city does not comply with the law, is that the city will lose its existing TxDOT funding for the existing projects and may impact other TxDOT approved road projects that have been approved but not funded yet, which would devastate our community. And a little background before we move forward. Governor Abbott's October 8th executive order was issued as a part of a campaign to enforce a larger directive from President Donald Trump to get rid of political and artistic murals from public roadways across the country. I would like the public to be aware that on July the 1st, Transportation Secretary Sean P. Duffy, through the Department of Transportation funding and regulatory oversight powers, gave states 60 days to study crosswalks and intersections and roadways and develop a list of compliance concerns in their states as part of the Safe Roads Initiative. So as Governor Abbott executive order and text dot letter to the city on street markings, paintings, and murals, according to a city attorney, is legally based on his executive authority to ensure local governments comply with the federal and state guidelines, specifically concerning roadways regulations. With that being said, I want to make sure that the public's aware that the discussion is not about the city's position on the construction of a border wall in our city, because that is a separate and distinct issue where the city council has taken the previous stance in opposition. I would like, however, to inform the public that we had several conversations with officials from the Department of Homeland Security and Border Patrol on this issue, and an update will be provided to the public on November the 3rd on the city council meeting. Now, this discussion today is about the city of Laredo necessary compliance to the law or risk losing TxDOT funding in our roads, because there are no exceptions being given. And as democratically elected public servants, we took an oath and we have an obligation to the entire community. And we're not going to devastate our community for what is considered one particular vantage point on our public roads, even if the speech may be popular or well received. And for those that may try to simplify this as a Laredo bending to the knee to the governor, or using logic that if we give them an inch, they will take a mile. Well, with all due respect, I would like you to look at Washington, D.C. as an example, and remember that the same mentality that has gotten us into a federal government shutdown that continues to hurt millions of Americans is present. And before I open the floor to comments, I want to remind the public and individual here today, the words on the mural didn't fuel the opposition of the border wall. It was the opposition that fueled the mural. So feeling in our community about a border wall is neither created or destroyed with the existing of the mural. So that feeling in our communities about a border wall is neither created or destroyed. Your First Amendment right does not disappear with the removal of the mural. You can still be in opposition in the public and come to this meeting and state your opinion. So my motion for the city of Laredo to be in compliance with the governor's executive order and TxDOT's October 8th letter is my motion. Second. Now, I would like to yield the floor and open it up to public comments. To be equitable, I will be calling on one person in favor and one not in favor or neutral on this item. And Mr. Secretary, can you please keep track of time and accept these documents for the record?
Yes, Mayor. And Mayor, we have separated the comment cards for and against,
All right.
and those that are neutral. And there was one comment card that we could not identify the individual here.
All right, we'll start out with neutral. Monica Franz Rodriguez.
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Franz Rodriguez. I am the Grassroots Engagement Director for the Libre Initiative, and it is an honor to be here today. I want to first mention that I really appreciate and love the passion of the people behind me. I love to see that involvement. So my address is not only to City Council, city leadership, but also to all of you in the back. I just wanted to reiterate, I know most of you are familiar with our position, which is property tax reform. We feel that there is a concern in the state of Texas that property taxes are very burdensome to residents. Speaking to Laredo, of course, Laredo is a beautiful city. We want to make sure that this city continues to be relevant, but not relevant. Yesterday, I was at the Parade of Homes and saw a home, beautiful home, 1,950 square feet, that sold at $450,000. That's $230 per square foot. You say, well, what does that have to do with it? Well, it has a lot to do with it. Cost of living, housing, property taxes are burdensome to the residents of Laredo. Loss of revenue could be burdensome. So this is just a position to say we have a problem, we cannot lose funding. One, the comment, the straw that broke the camel's back. One more burden on the city of Laredo or Laredo residents could really break the camel's back. We have a problem. So this is an invitation to all of you, which I have extended. We have resources, I'm personally available, data, and of course the community behind me to really get behind what is the issue. The issue is that we need to make sure economically that our community is sound so that we can continue to prosper. There's a lot of cities that would love to be in a position as Laredo, and we see that as more and more cities are building bridges. This is an incredible economy with incredible position, incredible prosperity, and a lot of potential. So with that, I just want to say thank you to all of you and invite the community behind me to join us as we continue to talk about property tax reform. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll proceed with another neutral. Monica Martinez.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Monica Martinez. I am the Executive Director of the Laredo Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for listening to our comments today. On behalf of our board and the chamber, we do wish to reaffirm the importance of maintaining consistency, clarity, and safety of our public roadways in accordance with the standards of the Texas Department of Transportation, or TxDOT. As the largest port in the Western Hemisphere, Laredo's road infrastructure is not only critical for local residents, but also for the movement of billions of dollars in trade that sustain our region and our nation. TxDOT's commitment to safety and uniformity through the Texas Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices ensures that our transportation network remains efficient and reliable for both commercial and passenger traffic. The Chamber recognizes TxDOT as a key partner in Laredo's continued growth and development. Adhering to established pavement marking and traffic control guidelines grounded in research and federal standards help safeguard our workforce, our visitors, and the commercial corridors that drive our economy. So we do encourage continued collaboration with TxDOT and our business community to ensure that infrastructure reflects practices that promote safety and uphold operational standards necessary for a city that moves forward. So in essence, adhere to TxDOT's guidelines so that our community can continue to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll proceed with another neutral. Victor Jr.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor, Honorable Mayor, Council, City Management. My name is Victor Trevino for the record. We are living through some really significant times, and I don't envy you, but I stand by the notion as an American and as an attorney that as a citizen of this great country are formed on the foundations that we are a country of laws. We were formed on the foundation and we follow them even when our particular party of choice is not in power. The notion that the opposition to the construction of the border wall, which deals with a specific process, which it's called eminent domain in the Fifth Amendment, is somehow the same thing as arguing for First Amendment speech on a publicly funded road is an improper analysis. So to risk over $1 billion in future funding like the widening of Mines Road, which as all of you know, is one of the most congested and dangerous roads in the state of Texas, and the expansion of the Loop 20 expansion project for a mural that we are being told is not in compliance with state and federal laws is just bad judgment and would be a disservice to our community. Yes, none of us likes to be regulated and our free expression to be regulated, but this is private speech on a public taxpayer-paid road. And to support one political viewpoint goes against the oath that you have taken as elected officials to uphold the Texas Constitution and the U.S. Constitution for everyone. The mural can be and should be displayed on private property. The sad reality is that the non-compliance impacts everybody, quality of life. Beyond our road projects, like the millions of TxDOT road dollars that go to projects like the RAMP program, which is the routine airport maintenance program, which provides money for airport maintenance, the highway bridge program that provides money for federal and locally owned bridges, the transportation alternative program that sets money aside for bicycle and transportation infrastructure projects, the public transportation grants, which administers public funds for rural and urban areas, and the State Infrastructure Bank, which provides low-interest construction for right-of-ways, the traffic safety grants, which offers federal funding for traffic safety programs, and the emergency program relief programs, which provide fundings to repair our roads after natural disasters. So these are some of the programs that will be impacted, and I would be remiss to say that, you know, even our Laredo Marathon, which asked permission from TxDOT, which we have yet to receive, is through agreement with TxDOT. So I would ask to please consider these realities through your discussion today, and I thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Laura M. de la Fuente?
Mayor, is that neutral, against, or for?
No, no, we're just gonna
Just
go.
calling out a public comment.
Okay.
Public comments.
Good evening, City Council Laredo,
Evening.
Mayor. I am here to speak on a small essay that me and my sister-in-law have written. It is called Violations of the First Amendment. As a current student at Laredo Community College, born and raised in the city of Laredo, I take pride in expressing my beliefs and expressing my rights. Growing up, I learned to embrace my political opinions and value the importance of the First Amendment. This amendment guarantees every American to freedom to speak, believe, and act accordingly to their conviction. It serves as a reminder that our voices matter and that using them responsibly helps and shapes the world around us. Texas Governor Greg Abbott calls to remove our First Amendment by threatening to cut federal and state funding, ordering the removal of the mural Defund the Wall in Laredo, Texas. Using the excuse that the mural support political ideologies, Abbott is now trying to silence minorities as they speak out on their state bordering issues, as he thinks that will prevent criticism of his administration. However, this act goes directly against our First Amendment, which protects freedom of expression even when the expression challenges those in power. Murals are a form of art that tells stories of communities, culture, and struggle. Silencing them not only erases important cultural identities, but also discourages civic participation. Removing these murals is not just an attack on artists, it's an attack on the voices of Texans who use art to express their values, hopes, and frustrations. That culture is the backbone of our community. Taking away that privilege to express yourself is unconstitutional and neglecting to our constitutional rights. Whether you stand as a Republican or Democrat, raise your voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. Stand united against this order and make our government see the injustice and irrationality behind these ideals. Together we have the power to demand change and fight for what's right. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jerry Maldonado?
Good afternoon, Mayor, City
Afternoon.
Council Member, City Management. Jerry Maldonado, Chairman of the Board for the Laredo Motor Carriers Association. And we are here to show our support and thank the city and legal department for stating earlier that they will abide by this requirement from TxDOT. We, as a city, cannot jeopardize all that we have accomplished in the last 25 years. We can't do that, you know. Public opinion, you know, people's feelings, they matter, but they don't matter on a road that can jeopardize funding for the city of Laredo. All of us in transportation, all of us that are international trade, all of us that help make Laredo the #1 port in the United States have worked very hard every single day to get to where we are. and us having a discussion or a conversation about or entertaining the idea of not abiding by this and risk losing funding is crazy. It's completely crazy. There is no room for feelings in these decisions. There is no room for personal beliefs in these decisions. It doesn't matter if you're blue, it doesn't matter if you're red. This is a common sense decision. The city of Laredo cannot be who it is and cannot be who it's gonna be tomorrow if we lose funding. Please remember that. Understand the logic here. This has nothing to do with anybody's first, second, 30th, 70th Amendment. This is common sense. Thank you for doing the right thing, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mary Sue Galindo.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members,
Afternoon.
citizens. I am here to ask,
Name for the record, please.
my name is Mary Sue Galindo,
Thank you.
and I'm here to ask that you protect our community art, that you champion free speech, which is under attack. I have no idea why this is even an issue. The mural has been in existence for more than 5 years. Why all of a sudden is it becoming an issue? It's not an issue that's about safety, it's about suppression. Erasing any expressions of dissent that are not in compliance with the MAGA point of view. The governor's actions are not about safety and the well-being of Texans. It's about canceling messaging, erasing voices, and paving the way for an autocratic and fascist rule of law. You have a moral dilemma on your hands: to protect free speech and stand up to a bully, or to roll over and be coerced into violating the Constitution and suppressing free speech, the free speech in your own community, suppressing the voices in your community. I urge you to challenge this directive, to find alternative solutions to keep our borders safe, and to conduct municipal business in a way that does not strip us of our voice, but instead uplifts us as a community and protects our environment. We don't need a wall, we need common sense, compassion, and the courage to stand on moral ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra Whitten.
Good afternoon, City Council. It's been a while. Sandra Whitten here. I live out on Mines Road. Many of you might recognize my name. I ran for Congress twice here in our district. I've been an outspoken leader for our community. I taught my teenage boys how to drive in our very own downtown Laredo. Funny enough, when I taught them how to drive, in the textbook that was provided to them, there was nothing in there on the roadways about freedom of speech. It was laws. It was rules that we need to follow and abide by as drivers. That does create a safety hazard for people who are from out of town to come to our community for the first time. They see these big yellow letters and they start swerving because they don't know what they are. I've seen it happen. You've seen it happen. You've seen it happen. This is the reality. This is not about MAGA this or MAGA that. In fact, when the MAGA Republicans came up with a bright idea to make our own mural while I was running for Congress and asked me to champion it, I said no. Because that's not what our roadways are for. If you want a mural, convince a business owner. Don't hold the streets hostage. City Council, I'm sorry to be sounding like a jerk for a moment, but y'all have got a spending problem. And so to deny $1.6 billion over something that you can't even teach a driver over, that there's no common sense there. There's no sense of community. There is no sense of what is right and what is wrong. That is freedom of speech oppression. We have the right as parents, we have the right as citizens to make sure that our dollars are properly being funded in the correct places with no condition on who is in charge and who is not. As a very strong, hard Republican conservative, I work very well with a lot of Democrats here in the state of Texas. Why? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't have anything to do with our political ideologies. It has to do with what is right for the citizens of Texas, and most importantly, in this moment, the citizens of Laredo. This is not just about putting out our ideologies. This is about our trade business. We are the #1 trade port in the United States. We want to jeopardize that over some yellow things that people swerve all over the road in front of our federal courthouse. And need I remind you, I was here protesting it when we came up with this great idea 5 years ago. This is not a good idea. I need all of you to look at your budgets and tell me where you can afford to lose $1.6 billion. You can't. We can't as a community. We can't. The most progressive cities in the state of Texas cannot afford it. If Houston could understand that their budgets depended upon painting over color-coded crosswalks, I think that we can give up a sign. We have more to offer than Houston does, yet we get rained out every single opportunity that we get over silliness like this. Let Laredo be the true gateway and be the true leader that we really are, because that's the Laredo that I get to talk about across the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Sister Rosemary.
Sister Rosemary Welsh, a Sister of Mercy, and a proud citizen of this wonderful community. I have some comments, but first, Honorable Mayor, thank you for letting us be here, the City Council, and your wonderful staff that I don't think we thank them enough. So thank you for all that you all do on a daily basis. You can, let's hear it for the staff. And also for the City Council, let's give them a hand too. My comments a little bit about the wall, but I'll come back. One of the things that I think is beautiful, and everyone is speaking, is free speech. It's on everybody's free speech. And free speech today, I congratulate you all. You don't need me to congratulate you, but I'm congratulating you anyway, to let everybody come up here and say what they think. We don't have to be grumbling, cheering, nothing. We're here to hear what other people think, and I think that is one of the problems in our country today. We want to demonize people simply because we don't agree with them. And I pray daily that I don't do that. I pray daily for our country that we can get beyond the fact you can have a different opinion, and that doesn't mean you're stupid. And I did not appreciate being called crazy. And we all have to be careful in our comments. So earlier this month, Laredo was designated a tourism-friendly Texas certified community by Travels Texas and congratulated by Governor Abbott. That is all fine and good. It shows the commitment and efforts of the Laredo Convention and Visitors Bureau, kudos to them, to further develop tourism as an economic growth strategy. So I asked myself, why would anyone want to come to visit Laredo and find a wall in the middle of our precious Rio Grande River? Over the years, the Washington birthday celebration, and in particular, I think everybody in the room, whatever your thoughts are, think that the bridge ceremony is probably the most poignant and important message we send to the world on national attention and significance. Our relationship with our neighbors south of the Rio Grande is a beautiful thing. Is a wall not a contradiction to what we have come to believe about ourselves and about our community? Most recently, Laredo has been recognized as one of the safest cities in America by several studies. And in our own paper, came out right on the front page, we're the safest city in Texas, and I think the 13th in the nation. Some studies have ranked Laredo as even in the top 10. So does this look like we need a wall? And lastly, about the mural, and I don't want to hear any little comments, this is my blind perception. I'm not aware of any accidents being attributed to this street mural, and please correct me if I'm wrong. And I know, and I think, again, this is that we can, an expression of our freedom and our democracy. Somebody says a first communion or not. To me, what is happening today in this room and the confirmation and the conversation shows me that Laredo is alive and well in the 21st century, and we can all speak our minds and our hearts, and we all love Laredo. Thank you.
Next comment, Maxine Reveles.
Hi, my name is Maxine Reveles for the record. I just wanted to, I didn't speak last time, and it's just, like, even right now, at the beginning of this, we started with justice and liberty for all. Like, but is it really liberty for all? Like, y'all just had something up for Jovita. Like, Jovita would have stood up to this, no questions asked. It wouldn't have been, is this the fight to stand up for? Like, and y'all don't see it. Someone mentioned about Washington, D.C. Like, look at Washington, D.C. Look at Chicago. Look what the mayor of Chicago is doing. Like, they're standing up for their people. You know, like, you want to talk about bully prevention. Is this not the biggest bully we're ever going to face? But we want to tell our kids to fight bullies and to stick up for bullies? Like, what are we sticking up for? Like, what are we fighting for? And I know your minds are probably made up because it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and they know it. And that's why they're doing this. But at what point do we fight back? Like, at what point did you win those seats to fight for us? Because Jovita, like, she wouldn't have thought twice. And to see y'all sitting here thinking about this, like, and I know some of y'all play musical chairs with these seats, but when are you going to actually get a chair and fight for us, you know? Like, it's a hard pill to swallow. Like, we joined the military thinking that we're fighting for us. We're fighting for our people and for our communities, and we come back, and it's like you would just give and bend over, and what time are we going to stand up, knock this table off, like, and show, like, we're older than the United States, and we celebrate George Washington's birthday. I just went to a powwow with real indigenous people. Not one of them had a $20,000 costume on. But I digress from that because most people don't even want to talk about that because it brings in so much money. But what about our culture? We have a Sister Cities Festival in an abrazo, but you can't bring your Mexican flag here. Sister Cities Festival is nobody's flag because we'll take your culture and your food and everything that you have with it, but not your flag. That's where we draw. Oh, don't you be speaking Spanish so we can pick you up now. That's where we draw the line. But we're sister cities all day long. Like, at what point do you see the hypocrisy? And people want me to keep my voice quiet and play nice, and you catch more flies with honey. Like, there's a whole lot of poo on here, like, and y'all don't see it. But y'all want to keep pissing on us and telling us it's raining, and I can't keep quiet anymore. Like, when are y'all going to stand up for us like Jovita did, or is that just a sign?
Silvia Bruni.
Give me a few months and I'll kick this, but not just yet. For the record, my name is Sylvia Bruni, and I'm coming representing the Webb County Democratic Party. But even possibly more important, I'm representing Sylvia Bruni. I'm a Laredoan, I have lived here all my life, and I love my community. Give me a minute. I want you to know that I come here not simply to protest the dilemma that you face, but more important, I come to stand as a witness, and I would hope that everyone here, not only you, but those in back of me, stand as witnesses also over what is happening to us today. It's happening quite simply because we allowed it. And I don't mean you, I mean the community. There's really only one answer by which we could have resolved it, and it would have happened last November. In November, when the dust settled and we had an opportunity to voice our choice for the administration that would literally preside over us, not only did the country, but our own community failed miserably. I want you to know, if you don't already have an idea of what the numbers look like. In America, only 31.78% of the eligible voters voted for the current administration in Washington. 30.84% voted for the other candidate. But 36.33% of Americans who could have voiced their opinion chose to stay silent. And in Laredo, it was even worse. We had over 144,000 eligible voters. Out of those, 83,000 stayed home. And actually, only, 50.61 voted for the current administration. 48.48 voted for the lady that lost. If there is a solution to what is happening right now, we lost it last November. There is one opportunity. My mother used to say when we got into trouble, ¿Quién te manda? ¿Quién te manda? Obviamente nosotros ahorita no nos estamos mandando. But you do have an opportunity, come November, to make a change. I do want you to know, was that a bell telling me that my time was over? I do want you to know that we stand with you. We understand the dilemma. We understand the horrendous losses that we would incur. We sympathize, but we remind you, we're going to have a choice in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Cornell Mickley.
Good afternoon, Council, Honorable Council. My name is Cornell Mickley. I'm here representing myself. I am a registered Republican, and I'm going to focus on what the item is talking about a political sign. Let's come back and focus on that. We heard a lot of talk out there. In my opinion, it's not focusing on a political sign. We know right now it's a political season, and we're seeing all these political signs out and about on your property or on businesses, you know, people running for office, or just recently propositions that we need to vote for. And yes, we see, you know, political signs out there for propositions, vote for or against a certain proposition. Now, in my simple mind, there's a city ordinance that dictate how those signs are placed and how those signs should be, you know, there's a certain time to put them up and there's a certain time to take them down. Now, what we're seeing here on the street is, I would imagine, is a political sign, right? And what the governor's trying to do in a roundabout way is have control, I guess, on political signs on government property. We're not allowed to put election signs on government property for people that are running for office or for propositions. That's not allowed to put those signs on government property. So in my simple mind, this is what's taking place now. So I wish you take that in consideration and vote for this agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. Dolores Medrano.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Dolores Medrano. I'm here representing not only myself, but the many people that at 12 o'clock noon are working so they can clothe their children, feed them, and provide for them. So thankfully, I'm able to be here. I'm also here to voice for those that voted no to the bond and can't be here. We voted no. Why? You can't afford it. The city of Laredo simply cannot afford it. You can't afford it because you're over $1 billion in debt. And even though you're in debt, we're in debt because you keep spending. And not only this council, but councils before you have kept spending. A good example is the $20,000 raise you gave yourselves, which still irks many of your citizens, including myself. It was basically an insult. It was at a time when people were paying $4 for eggs, a dozen eggs. It was a time when gas was almost hitting $4. Businesses were struggling. My business was struggling. Yet you found it fit to give yourself a $20,000 raise. We're not going to forget that. The bond was also a resounding no. Yet this council went ahead and funded a police headquarters. I don't know how you finagled the money, but I'm sure it was taxpayer money because it wasn't yours. Basically, it just showed you don't care what the people think and how they vote. Supposedly, the council has a vision. In your case, vision means more parks, the way I see it. Every time we turn around, there's another park, which are water guzzlers, and we have a water issue. If you're a regular person and you want to use these parks, you have to pay a fee. Sometimes it's $200, or it depends on who you're talking to use a park, unless you have a connection. And that connection is usually a city council member, which I tried my city council member to reach him. I'm in District 6. I wanted to use North Central Park for a 4th of July event, and I never got a return call. So I'm basically an ignored taxpayer. There is no vision. The downtown area is still a mess. I have seen no improvements. We have no convention center. We cannot attract any kind of convention here. If you look at McAllen, with much less money than we have, they have one bridge, I believe. We have 4. And they're able to build an entertainment center around their convention center that's beautiful. Why can we not do that? So basically, in my opinion, getting to the issue at hand, it is irresponsible and arrogant to think that we can turn down $1.6 million for roads. Everybody knows every time it rains, we have nothing but potholes. There is no infrastructure and it's not working. Please, and also I'm asking Mrs. Cigarro, Melissa Cigarro, to please recluse herself because she was part of the Rio Grande Environmental Center that proposed that sign on the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Tricia Cortez.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the City Council, and City Management. I'm Tricia Cortez with the Rio Grande International Study Center. And Mayor and Council members, I think all of us here can only imagine the kind of pressure that you must be feeling with these most unusual of threats coming in from Austin that would now hold hostage TxDOT funds over a 5-year-old mural. For example, for Loop 20 expansion, as an example, a $344 million project that was let 2 years ago on August 2nd of 2023. And for State Highway 84, Hachar-Ruthinger, a $122 million project that was let more than a year ago on May 2nd of 2024. These projects are already under construction, and now Austin is aggressively painting you into a teeny dark corner with new conditions that represent an assault on our First Amendment rights, and most importantly, on our property rights. TxDOT has the technical expertise to determine what should or shouldn't be on a street. Had this been about safety, TxDOT would have petitioned to stop the mural from taking place, or they would have actively intervened to remove it if this was truly a safety thing. But we all know that this is not a safety thing. This is about squashing a community's voice. When the people of Laredo rose up in 2020 to push back against the administration's outrageous plans to seize miles of riverfront land, the leaders of this city government recognized what the mural was really about. It was and remains a powerful symbol during a David versus Goliath moment. It's not about political ideology. It's the equivalent of a Keep Laredo Beautiful sign, because the wall is ugly and would create such blight for Laredo and our community. This time around, under 2.0, it's still about a massive taking of land, and now the taking of our water, given the Fed's current plans. Today, this meeting, it's about using the street mural as a Trojan horse, to use it to try and pave the way, no pun intended, for a planned massive land taking, for an incredibly destructive and wildly expensive border wall construction project where Laredo loses out, not just for today, but for tomorrow, but for forever. Hundreds of millions of dollars in investment have taken place along the river by you all, the city, for decades, and by private citizens, and the value of those assets will be wiped out by a border wall. Opposition to the wall is not political. Back then and now, this movement has been defined by protecting our lands and our property rights, and a deep desire to support that. It remains supported by landowners, veterans, Republicans, and Dennis Nixon of IBC, one of the biggest GOP fundraisers in Texas. Why? Because when the federal government moves in to take these lands, both public and private, these proud Laredo lands will transfer into the hands and belong to the U.S. government forever. CBP's data of apprehensions and crossings in Laredo show historic lows, and the Laredo sector historically has continued to rank among the lowest of all 9 sectors on the entire southern border for apprehensions. However, now, for purely political reasons that defy logic, reason, and good governance, the feds are about to come in and want to amputate off our limbs, whether we like it or not, and not leave us without prosthetics after they're long gone. They are coming after our land, they're coming after our water. Excuse me, but nobody spoke when y'all were speaking. Please respect the floor. And I want to wrap up by saying respectfully, Mayor, and respectfully, council members, that today, like in 2020, we all recognize, especially those of us who were in it back then, that they will bully and they will threaten you with funding and much more. But this is where you have to show what you're made of, and this is where courage is defined, and we ask you to stand now and for the future of Laredo and our lands. Thank you.
Order, please. Order, please. Next is Jose M. Salazar.
Good afternoon, Council. For the record, my name is Jose Salazar. I'm the Webb County Republican Chair. I, like many Laredoans, want the political mural removed. That should never have been placed there to begin with, because it's on taxpayer property, and not all taxpayers agree with it. To begin with, because you can do your own mural on your own home, at your own cost or with people funding it, that's fine. But at your own cost, at your own home. To begin with, as a Mines Road resident, Laredo needs the 1.6 billion for its infrastructure. Our infrastructure needs it. Our economy needs it. Our jobs need it. We cannot compete with the Rio Grande Valley, or else they will overtake us. It makes no sense to do this. Secondly, public safety is important. Our streets already have safety markings like center lines, edge lines, speed humps, crosswalks, directional markings. Now drivers need to navigate through messages. I don't want them to navigate through defund the wall messages. I don't want them to navigate through MAGA messages either. None of those belong there. More importantly, to be a great city, we need a sense of community. Why does a small group of people insist on making everyone pay attention to their sentiments and on having constant affirmation at the taxpayer's expense? We have had enough of this. We are tired of this. We are tired of the politics. We want everything that is best for our city because I care for our city. We cannot act like kings and ignore the governor's orders, and because no one is above the law. I heard some people say that not too long ago. Also, I will remind you that the voting patterns in the city are changing. I know this because every day I keep asking, how can I switch parties? It is a $1 billion capricho, and it is turning people off. Let City Council get back to work. Let's fix our infrastructure. Let's fund the future. Let's diversify our economy, and let's get rid of that eyesore, that large pimple, and let's let Laredo be the best that it can be. God bless Laredo, and God bless America.
Before we proceed, citizens can participate through in-person comments, and wishing to provide in-person comments require fill out a witness card and submit it to the city secretary no later than 12:15 p.m. and identify themselves at the microphone. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers may not pass their minutes to any other speaker. All comments should be relevant to city business and delivered in a professional manner. No derogatory remarks. Please adhere to this so we can proceed. Next is Gigi Garza.
Hi, my name is Gigi Garza. I was not born in Laredo. I was not raised in Laredo. I came to your beautiful city because both of my girls won scholarships. I'm originally from Rio Grande City, but raised in Seal Beach, California. And I thought I had seen generosity until I came here. There is no other county I've been to in the United States that provides so much money for education for our young people. And that is really good considering we just came out in the Laredo Morning Times that we have more young people than any other county in the United States. Of course, you know all those young people are going to want to drive. I'm very grateful that you're going to continue to support our roads. And when I came in, I was able to get a travel trailer, then a mobile home, and then slow but sure I was able to buy a home on the west side. And I'm grateful that you're going to continue to help us with our roads. When I first came in, I went to Cheyenne Subdivision. There was really nothing there, but very few cars. I just went to visit my great-granddaughter there, and there's so many cars, they're going to have to go one way. People were backing up all over the place. We had the privilege to work with our city at the Halloween festivities, and those babies had a beautiful time. Thank you for supporting them on that. On the Affordable Act Care, I refused to join that, and I was charged $800 because I refused to participate in the program, and I paid for the majority. The majority has to rule. We need to work together. I have never lived in a better place than here in Laredo, and the education is provided for my children. I am so very grateful, and I thank you for all the work you do, and I thank you that you continue to support all of us nonprofits so that we can continue to go forward and bless our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Edgar Villaseñor.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, and for the record, my name is Edgar Villaseñor. So, real quick, as as I mentioned last time, I kind of knew that our city was gonna comply with this federal regulation because it's a lot of money. So I get that. I totally get that. But this today is more of just a reminder, you know, that leadership takes courage, and yes, you do have to bow down to certain people, right? But I ask that each of you stand up for what's best for our community, because right now it's just, like I said, or you guys might be painting it as it's just a mural, like, you know, everybody else is doing it. Yes, but like I said before, it's a little bit of a strategy because this is my greatest fear. Again, not everybody here has gone to Eagle Pass to see what that border wall looks like, right? It's like, why can't we get something else? Like, one of the things that I want to make clear is that we do stand for security, right? No border wall doesn't mean we don't want security. It just means we want an alternative to security instead of a border wall, because a border wall could be many different things, like I said, and I don't know who does the negotiation, right? But at some point, Eagle Pass probably dropped the ball, and they're like, pues ahí está la wall, you know, and how come they get to put this China art there, you know? That's political ideology too, you know? You know, it's not about the safety and swerving, you know, because no one has done that unless you guys have a record of it, right? But I don't think that there's been any accidents on the defund the wall mural. I get the money that's involved with this decision, and you guys are the leaders, right? So I'm glad I'm not in your shoes right now, right? But definitely, just want to make sure, like I said, like, what happens when they tell us, like, hey, we're going to take away Santa Rita, we're going to take away Father Magnabo, or you're going to lose the federal funding. My real request is for you guys to really negotiate what's best for our community and not let what Eagle Pass has allowed happen there to our city. Negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you. Valentin Ruiz.
Valentin Ruiz for the record. I'm a veteran and taxpayer. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for a proclamation supporting citizens for the border security and against the wall. Let me remind you that as a veteran, I swore a never-ending oath to support and defend the Constitution. Yet I hear a lot of people saying that by them following that unconstitutional rule, that they're following their Constitution, they're obeying the Constitution. They're not. So if I find myself getting loud, please forgive me. As I raise my voice, I have tinnitus and I get passionate in my speech. I raise my voice to hear myself and don't confuse my passion for disrespect. The TxDOT letter to the city. TxDOT has legal authority for state highways, right-of-ways, and interchanges under Texas, which means I-35, Loop 20, US 83, and 59. However, if a mural or artwork is on city-owned streets, it's different. And you have $1 million attorneys that will tell you that it's on city property, okay, not on TxDOT property. So they have no say-so, okay? And if they made up this law to threaten us to take away that money, that's unconstitutional. Ya estoy cansado que our local leaders, both in the state and in our country, se están empinando todo el tiempo. They're always bending the knee. When are you going to stand up? Stand up for your people.
No derogatory comments, please.
I just heard somebody say bending over and nobody said anything about derogatory comments.
Right, that's considered derogatory.
Well, I'm sorry. Example, Austin and Dallas have approved street murals on local roads only, not on state highways. In Houston, they denied a Black Lives Matter on a TxDOT road. Now, they're talking about political ideologies. What about the Confederate flag that is being flown in our airport? Okay, that's a political ideology. The city can emphasize that street art is protected form of expression of the First Amendment when conducted under equal and content-neutral policies. That's how you can honor free speech and local heritage. Do not let this unconstitutional government tell us what to do with threats of losing funding. When and where have the Republicans been when Texas, since 2014, is one of 10 states that has refused to expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act as of 2025. This cost the state $120 billion in federal funds since 2014. Laredo has lost over $6 billion for healthcare, clean energy, housing, education, and childcare since 2014. Remember the flood in the Hill Country. The Republicans out there refused money from the federal government, and hundreds of people died. Laredo leaders stop bending the knee again to bullies and their threats to take away our funds. What is this about? This is about erasure of a black eye that we gave MAGA Republicans when we built that mural out there. And that's what they want to erase. They want to erase that black eye when we stood up for ourselves. So please stand up for what is right. Do not be afraid.
Thank you. Jesse Herrera.
Some call me a poet, some call me the dude, but I've always been Jesse G. Herrera. Anything you might have heard about me is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the guilty. 1 year ago I was here. It was my first visit here in October. Was the water boil and the outrageous salaries. I came back the next week because I got cut off. And by then, the key to the city had been given to Ted Cruz. I am retired, 42 years, 3 months with United Partial Service. I was a Teamster job steward, and I support the Metro workers. Si se puede. A quote by Emiliano Zapata and Charles Bukowski. One verse. Defund the wall, fund our future, have been deemed satanic verses, unsuitable for all audiences. Hence, the Ayatollah Abbot has issued a fatwa. Any handwriting on the wall must be removed within 30 days or else taxpayers' monies will be weaponized. But isn't that unconstitutional? Thou shalt not love thy neighbor unless approved by the state white Jesus. It's like we've gone medieval. God bless America. Where have you gone? It's not about the mural. Who fast forwarded? Isn't this unconstitutional? We are a nation of laws. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry. Since when did the law of the land come out of Austin, Texas? The powers that be think they are above the law. They think they are the law. What's next? The rack, the guillotine, 50 lashes, burning at the stake? We are marginalized Americans already. Yes, even way down here on El Frontera. We weren't looking for a fight. The fight found us. You can go along and not make any waves, or you can start paddling and jump on the monster wave, the American way. It is our duty to rebel against tyranny. Let's ride. Lexington and Concord are calling, but don't remember the Alamo. On your feet or on your knees. As Emiliano Zapata said, I want to die a slave to principles, not to men. And more, it appears, as Charles Bukowski noted, I walked around the block twice, saw 200 people, but not a single human being. Calabazas y calaveras, right wing, left wing, we are all of the same bird, the American eagle. Let us gather as one voice
as one verse. Gracias.
Brandon Chavez.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Brandon Chavez. I'm here to speak on me being against the removal of the mural that's in front of Victoria Street. I want to say that I think it is a way for us to be able to express ourselves, for us to be able to, do what is right for the community. It's what we want from you guys, and I think it's a bad idea for you guys to remove this. It's bad just because you guys have millions of dollars in your guys' banks, and we all know that. It's been every time something happens. You guys remove something with the city. You guys do some work. Next thing you know, there's invoices for stuff you guys never did, and it's been proven before. It's been proven before in everywhere, and I think it's a bad idea because you guys are gonna take off the wall. Not take off the wall. Take off the mural, and next thing you know, you guys are gonna say that it cost $1 million to remove it, when in reality it cost you less than that. And I think it is. I think we all have the right to express ourselves, do what we really want to do, and I think you guys should really step up for us and fund what we really need. Like they said, they want the last city council meeting. They said with the wall, that 1 mile back in 2018 was costing $27 million. Why can we not allocate those funds into hospitals, into their communities, to pay teachers? Why don't we, do something right for what's right for Laredo and help these people out? And I'm sorry for me having a stutter. It's something I've always had. And I just say, for you guys to do better for our community. That's all I have to say, City Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
like
no.
30 minutes ago.
Who was first?
I've had it since
Okay.
the beginning of the.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone who spoke. Thank you, Mayor, for bringing this meeting. I just want to say that it's a bit frustrating. This is now the second meeting that we've had public comments on this, and the 9 people up here on this council have not spoken a single word in an official capacity. All of the feelings that we feel from you, it's just, last meeting when this was brought up, there was no agenda item. The people who came to spoke last week were coming to speak. I don't know if you were requesting any action, but there was no agenda item where no action could be taken. That's Texas Opens Meeting Act. We couldn't do anything at last meeting because it wasn't an agenda item. But I do want to applaud the fact that you can come to the city of Laredo and have your 3 minutes and to say everything and anything you want. Not every government entity in this town allows you to do that. So I do want to clap, pat our own backs for that. But that's fine. No, my point is that not every government entity does that, and technically, not every government entity has to. But we do it because we do feel it's important to hear from everyone, and I'm glad that we did the alternating ways. But I do want to just do a quick timeline on how we got here just since the October 8th Governor Abbott's directive to TxDOT. He directed TxDOT to ensure cities and counties in compliance with state and federal laws. Now, most people, I think, can agree on both sides that this is probably more political than it is about safety, but nonetheless, there is legal basis for what the order is, even if you feel or know in your heart that it's probably not really about safety, but the fact is there are laws that can be used. Nonetheless, October 14th, 6 days later, and we know our mayor did mention in the news media that there might be some plans to remove the mural. The council had not met yet. The council had not made any decisions yet. I just wanted to say I want to give you all the background, okay? Then we have an October 20th meeting, the next meeting after the October 8th Governor Abbott directive. There was no agenda item. There were public comments, but no agenda item. There were plans to management had plans to remove the mural later that evening. to just do it executively, okay? Because management and legal felt like they had the legal justification for doing it without, because essentially the idea is that we don't have a choice to make today. We don't have a choice to make today because there's federal and state laws that override all streets, regardless of they're a public city, state, or federal street. There are still regulations that have to be followed. So that's our management and legal's opinion. And then at the end of the meeting last week, when everyone was here, I asked, wait a minute, Abbott's directive was to TxDOT, and we never heard anything from TxDOT. And then, oh wait, at the end of the meeting, we get the TxDOT letter that was dated October 8th, 12 days prior, that this council and mayor were not even privy to, because our management didn't share it with us. Not appreciated. That would have been nice to have. And they gave a 30-day notice, which is November 7th, for removing any political markings, and they attached the No Border Wall Fund Our Future mural. And so again, this is the first meeting now that we're sitting here October 27th in a special meeting in between, because next week's our next regular meeting. So I just want to make you all aware that this is the first time our council even had a chance to speak on it. And we're being told by legal that we are not allowed to make any action today based on the law. But I'm sorry, if I may, I want to also go back to 2020, 5 years ago. July and August of 2020, there were two meetings. July 27th of 2020. The city attorney at the time, acting city attorney, actually advised against allowing the mural to be placed on this public road for the concerns of legal concerns, whether it be state, federal, or ethics code or otherwise. And they didn't discuss much, and the council just said, forget those concerns, we're just going to vote unanimously to approve it. 2 weeks later, a week later, August 3rd of 2020, some council members started getting calls. Some people started getting upset. Wait a minute, that's my street. I don't, what about my First Amendment right? What if I want to put a mural on a different road? What are we going to do? And then are we going to start having a snowball effect where there's murals all throughout the city on public roads? Where does it end? And then later on in October, I'm skipping part of this, but later on in October, they had decided no more murals ever again on city streets in the city of Laredo. And we're going to let this mural expire, on its own. But at the August 3rd meeting, that's a meeting I recommend everyone go back and look at. Remember, this is COVID 2020. Everyone's in masks. Everyone's separated. Some are on Zoom. Public comments are done. And not a single member of this council made that decision, by the way. All 9 of us had not been elected yet. Three people up here got elected later that November. But none of us were a part of that decision. And there were First Amendment concerns on both sides in the sense of, well, what about my First Amendment if I don't agree with that on a public road? And then there was a discussion about permitting process, and maybe the city should have a permitting process to do murals on public streets. Then there were safety issues. Actually, the traffic safety engineer at the time in the traffic department, they advised against it because of the safety concerns. And the council member, Bali, who was representing downtown at the time, moved forward with a motion to approve the mural for this as is, and then to come back with a new ordinance in October to figure out how to deal with this moving forward. And ultimately, the council just decided no new murals and no renovated murals on public streets. Now, it was interesting also that it was told to use the people for doing the mural, and Councilmember, I know Melissa will have something to say about this, and she was part of it, were told to, and this was in the meeting, told to use, first of all, they were told not to use the color yellow, because that's a common traffic color, and that was used. Also told to use materials that would fade quickly, not official traffic paint, and I think that's what ended up being used. But so my point is, and I want to also point the picture. This was during a intense political season. This was during Trump versus Biden, and 4 people on the council at the time were up for re-election. August of 20, it was an intense time. So there was a lot of political implications on both sides, for this. Because at that next meeting, it was no longer unanimous. Councilmember Nelly Vielma and Councilmember George Altgeld voted against moving forward with the mural. And not because they didn't agree with the message, it was because of the other concerns that came about as it relates to safety, free speech, and perhaps political implications as well. They were getting calls from, that's North Laredo, where a lot more Border Patrol agents, law enforcement live. So there was a lot of things happening. So it ended up being a 6-2 vote there at that August 3rd meeting out of those concerns. And then, and the mayor at the time was actually not present for either meeting's discussion on this. And then they moved forward. So I just, I bring all that up to say that, perhaps the decision was made in the context of COVID to allow it on that specific street in a way that may have not been the wisest thing at the time. But we're talking COVID. I mean, for me personally, I lived in Laredo for 4 months at that time, and I was a baby doctor working at LMC ER, getting destroyed. During, the COVID waves that we were getting. So, I just think it's good to kind of remember the context of how this was originally made. There were concerns from traffic and legal on this. And so now getting to the big picture of where we are now. No one on this council, I think I can speak for this entire council, that this council does not want a border barrier on the city of Laredo property. We don't want it destroying our beautiful Max Mendel golf course. We don't want it separating our beautiful families in Laredo and Nuevo Laredo because of the history of this beautiful community. But it's clear that technically speaking, the governor does have this power. There are state and federal regulations that we do have to follow. So even for me, this is not about agreeing or disagreeing with the message on that street. Because quite frankly, I think most of this council does not want a border barrier separating our cities. But, I personally, I think that, everything in context, it's clear that we only have one choice here. And actually the choice is to have no action in the sense and let, and we are being told by legal that we literally cannot make an action because we'd be making an illegal action to go against state and federal law. So I just want to speak from the heart and let you all know, what I've researched over the last few days and understanding that I think that's where the council I think is. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Councilman.
Well, I want to thank Councilmember King for going through that history. It was, as he said, properly permitted. And in fact, we created, as part of the No Border Wall Coalition, we created a dialogue with the department in charge of the permitting to try to create something that they could then use as a template. And I don't know if they used that for the template for the Back to Blue mural that was painted on the city street next to it that faded after a week. But we definitely tried to help that process. It was passed by council. We did enter into discussions with the traffic engineer at the time. Perhaps he expressed some concerns at the beginning, but we made sure to work hand in hand, the entire coalition, to follow his suggestions. You'll notice that the white lines that divide the lanes were left untouched. We tried to make this as collaborative a process as was needed. It was funded entirely by private donations, and that includes the money for security and insurance that you're required for any big gathering. That was also privately funded. And we should not lose sight of the fact that it was designed and painted by hundreds of volunteers. So the people that come to council, when they express their views, often they are representing more people at home. In this case, you could see the hundreds of people that came out in COVID in 105-degree weather because of the passion of the message. Something else the coalition did and offered to council at the time was a commitment to paint over the mural once the federal contracts were lifted. That's what we agreed. The message was there so that those federal contracts that the Trump administration let at the time without owning a stitch of land along the border $1.2 billion in total. We wanted those contracts lifted, and we told council, they lift the contracts, we will remove the mural. What happened was that the action to lift the contracts came later, right? So in October, council decided and voted, we are not touching any street anywhere. We're not going to allow community art on streets anymore, and we will allow what is painted to sit there and fade. So that was not a decision made by the No Border Wall Coalition, that was a decision made by council at the time. And for some of us, and I'll respect the people who share a different opinion, but for some of us, it has been very inspiring to see that, because unfortunately the issue of the border barrier continues to be an issue for our community. And while, you know, I believe it is nonpartisan, this administration has chosen to make it partisan, and in the same breath chosen to lie about the need for a border barrier here in Laredo. All of the statistics show it's not necessary. Our relationship, our history with Mexico has shown over the years that we do not benefit from a border wall. The risks to our river, the environmental damage is real. And we are one of the few cities that has invested so much money along the River Vega. We live in the city of Laredo right up against the border. There are hundreds and thousands of people who live right next to where some are saying they're perfectly fine with the wall going up. They don't live there. So when we make these deliberations, we are also thinking about these people who live in the neighborhoods and would have a daily interaction with an ugly, atrocious, destructive barrier. You know, TxDOT is sending that letter, they are enforcing an edict from the Trump administration, but we should understand when we're talking about the rule of law and the laws that we are required to follow, the Texas Manual of Conforming Traffic Devices. It's a structure that the city has agreed to follow, but this is new. It is a law, but it's a newly created law. So let's understand why the law was made. It's made by an administration that wants to invoke the rule of law to these communities of color around the country when it is daily breaking laws, especially during this shutdown. Every day, they're directing expenditures, which is something that Congress has the power to do, not the executive branch, and yet they continue to do that. They are firing civil workers, which again is illegal according to what our Constitution allows, and they are breaking the law. And they are directing the U.S. military to participate in extrajudicial killings, which again is a congressional power, not an executive branch power. So it is a little difficult to receive this edict from the administration to enforce, to appeal to us to, not to appeal, to extort that we follow a new rule of law when the administration itself refuses to follow the rule of law.
All right.
So I just want us to understand the purpose of the mural in 2020 was to draw attention to our unique border issue. It has done that. It attracted at the time 250,000 views on social media. We knew that our message was reaching a greater community. It attracted the attention of the governor's office, and that's why the governor was able to directly talk about that particular mural at that particular location with our mayor. It attracted the attention of the president's office. Trump administration officials had noticed our social media posts about the mural at the time. It was effective. The mural did what it was supposed to do. We were the only sector that got federal contracts lifted for border barrier. And granting credence to what Ms. Bruni said, November 2024, was a very important moment in this fight against a border barrier. So
We have
it-
one more person that came in
for
public comment.
I'll
Go
wrap
ahead.
up then. So just to understand this mural, to remove it, you can look at it as another unfunded mandate by our state of Texas government. It's gonna cost about $50,000 to remove it, to remove a community art mural that was placed entirely funded by private donations. Because that is what our governor, who is enforcing the actions of our president, wants us to do. And the $1.6 billion that we could lose in federal funding, I did speak to Texas Department of Transportation engineers, and they agree that it is a possibility. Nobody can see into the future, but the way the law was newly written, we do fall under its purview. And this is how this administration has chosen to treat its American citizens and has chosen to treat, in particular, communities of color. That has been a choice of theirs. But think about the message. When we said defund the wall and fund our future, we were asking what we did not believe was a partisan message. They were telling us they were going to spend $1.2 billion on a very destructive wall. And what could we do for $1.2 billion in this community?
Councilwoman,
What
stay on
does-
topic, please.
Yes, of course, we're talking about the mural and the community art project. What does Laredo really need? It needs water infrastructure. It needs health care. It needs road infrastructure. It needs new bridges. $1.2 billion could be spent so much more wisely, and the community should be able to make the determination if the United States government is going to use taxpayer dollars to build infrastructure here. We know what our needs are. We are the ones who live this reality every single day. It is not for a border barrier. And that message, whether we're allowed to continue with this mural on this street or whether we find other ways to share that message widely and broadly, that remains true. This issue has only become partisan because the administration has made that choice. But we should understand that as a community, we must stand up and tell them what our lived reality is, because that is our right as American citizens, and no amount of putting the thumb on us to prevent that, we will not be silenced.
We have one more public comment. Michelle Wintrout that came in late. We'll allow it.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Michelle Winterroth for the record. Ms. Igarroa, your type of talk is very divisive, extremely divisive, very divisive. Ms. Igarroa here shouldn't even be here because she's a part of that coalition. She should excuse herself. I understand that some people feel the mural in front of our federal courthouse represents free speech. But free speech applies to everyone, not just one message. Public streets belong to all of us, and allowing a political statement on taxpayer-funded pavement forces everyone to participate in that message. That's very unfair. The Supreme Court already upheld that we can't have those types of messages on our public roadways or streets. It's very well summed on Pleasant Grove City versus Summum. To display that type of speech speaks for all of us. It doesn't speak for me. It doesn't speak for these people here. So why are you so against it? Why don't you just go to your own home and paint no border wall on your home? Why don't you do that? It's a question. It's not a statement. Ms. Igarroa, why don't you go paint it on your home? You won't, right? Because it's an eyesore. All of you stand for all of us, not just one group of people. You stand for all of us, including those of us that don't want it there. And the same way it violates their free speech, it violates our free speech. So with your rhetoric and what you're saying about this administration, and it's all because of that, no, it's not. And you know that. You're just using this type of divisive languages to further divide people. You all have had your chance.
Order, please.
So at the end of the day, all of you have a responsibility to all of us, not just one group of people. And I leave you with that.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion?
Point of order?
What was the motion again? I'm sorry, excuse me. It was,
My motion was for the city of Laredo to be in compliance with the governor's executive order and text October 8th letter.
there was a second, I believe you all were waiting to complete the citizens' comments and then there's deliberation, but that's the motion that's on the floor. I don't know if you all want to go in the executive session to consult with me regarding potential liabilities. We can do that.
Mayor, if I may.
Otherwise, we
Yes.
have this.
Go ahead.
Mr. Wen, just a question, because Councilmember King brought up that we're not supposed to vote on this, that we can't vote on this, because state law, federal law supersedes local law. Is that correct and true or not?
There is liability that could be created, so if to further answer your question, I would ask that you move to go into executive session, we can discuss this further.
Okay, one more question. Does council have the right to vote on this? I mean, I'm sorry, I want the public to hear what we're asking, because if it's true that we really can't, let's just tell them that. Well, I mean, because honestly, a local governing body cannot supersede state or federal law.
Right.
Is that true and correct, so the public knows?
Well, yes, we should abide by the law, and that's my counsel to you. I would not be doing my job if I told otherwise. So the motion is to comply with the law, which is what you're obligated to do anyway. So that motion itself is not a major factor, because there's no action that's going to ensue from that. It's different from what needs to be done.
Because the city should.
Right, but I was
coincide
anticipating
with what the state's
the other
asking.
question, like, can we make a motion to the contrary? That I would advise against, because that'd be going contrary to the law. This is just consistent with the law, which again, is the course of action anyways.
Consistent with the law.
Yeah, so you can.
Thank you.
You can vote to be consistent with the law, but that's the course of action that's going to proceed anyway. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Dr. Tyler King mentioned that this is the first time that we as a council have had the opportunity to discuss it. And he also mentioned that the community has not heard from us. And that is true. And so whether or not this is an issue, it seems like it's a very divisive issue. There's people on both sides. And I think that they want to hear from us on whether or not we're going to follow the mayor's motion or not. So I don't see a problem with us taking a vote on the issue and then moving forward from there.
Roll call vote.
All right, before we go there, we have one more citizen comments. I will allow it. Elsa Hall.
Thank you. My name is Elsa Hall, and I appreciate you giving me the chance to speak. I understand there was a mix-up. But I do want to encourage the city not to waste tax dollars to remove this mural. The city unanimously approved it. People keep talking about our mural. The city also allowed a second mural by another group, Back the Blue. Ours was not the only street mural. Theirs was just across the street. But the point is, you know, these are all bully tactics. Bullies threatening our city, you know, do what we say or you don't get this money. I mean, it's blatantly unethical, and I don't see how it can possibly be legal. But bowing to this will open the door to further bully tactics. We all know what's coming next, the wall. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Literally miles and miles of destruction, cutting us off from our river, destroying our neighborhoods, our homes, our parks. Many, like me, will lose our homes to this wall. This is absolutely a blatant land grab by big government, which is something the Republicans have always stood against. This is not a bipartisan issue. It's our city, our neighborhoods, our people. And how can anybody believe we need a wall with crossings at historical lows, with no wall, and Laredo being one of the safest cities in the US with no wall? I understand the government's directive to remove the street mural is not a fair one, and it puts the city in a difficult position. But it will set a dangerous precedent if the city capitulates on this issue of the mural. You know, oh, the city of Laredo, they'll do whatever we say. They're just a bunch of pushovers. I mean, is that really the image you want for the city? Nearby cities and towns look to you guys for guidance. And I have a suggestion for you. If it's absolutely no other choice but to remove the mural, perhaps the city could consider erecting a plaque or some other kind of memorial to commemorate the mural and what it stands for. I'm not asking the city to use city funds for that. But this mural enabled the people to unite and stand against injustice and allowed us to keep our land, our homes, and our river from being taken away from us. This is part of our history. Don't erase our voices completely. Now more than ever, we need our city leaders to stand firm against the wall, set the example on this issue, send a strong message that the city of Laredo will stand up for our community, will not bow to tyrants, and will fight this injustice. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me see if somebody has a comment. Anybody else have a comment? No? Go ahead.
You know, I appreciate very much the remarks from Ms. Hull, and I would like to offer an amendment that we do work with the No Border Wall Coalition to find a way to commemorate the mural and find an appropriate place. It doesn't necessarily mean city-funded, but that we work in coordination with them to find a proper place to commemorate the mural and the community effort that it took to establish it 5 years ago.
To do it properly, I believe there's an amendment, the second amendment, then you all vote on whether to accept the amendment. That's the proper way to do it.
Mayor?
Go ahead.
So your item is basically, your current motion is basically to abide by the law and do what management legal already says we're gonna do anyway. Like, for me, I don't think we need any action, but if we're gonna be adding an amendment, then I do think we'd need an executive session legal counsel, because then it starts getting trickier. Like, my goal, or my feeling today is if we are putting ourselves at extra liability by taking any action today, then, you know, I think we explained to the public what's happening. So once we start adding amendments to just follow the law, I'd rather get legal counsel. I mean, yeah.
Mayor and City Council, I would concur with Councilmember King's comment. I believe they're two separate issues, and I don't think they should be conflated by adding them together. I think they should be dealt with separately for
Mayor,
that.
if I may, just a point of order. I mean, the motion failed because there was no second, but it has been we are conflating two issues. One, complying with state law. I mean, it's clear. The United States has the Safe Arterials for Everyone through Reliable Operations and Destruction Reducing Strategies Manual, and guideline, and then TxDOT enforces that through the Texas Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. We follow those laws. You know, we sit on the MPO, we talk about all this infrastructure. The no border wall just so happens to be the message on a violating marking that needs to be removed, and so this has gotten conflated to begin with. There are people in the room that, you know, have concerns that the city's gonna spend $50,000 to remove the mural, as stated by Ms. Cigarroa, and they're saying, well, if the no border wall agreed to remove it, then they should remove it, and so now it's just kicking up other issues. We already have a motion on the table, we already have a second, and if any other issues want to be brought up, I think that we can either address them separately or bring them up at a separate time. Again, the no border wall can also be commemorated through private resources on private property as well, so we can also go that route.
All right. Let's call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
By show of hand, Mayor, we should do a roll call vote.
Let's do a roll call. I agree with that.
Four.
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 Motion
Mayor,
passes.
can the record reflect only one against?
All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, motion to go to executive session for number 2 and number 3.
Motion second. Executive session. We'll proceed as directed.
Okay. Mayor, motion for number 2 for staff to proceed as directed.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And for number 3, for staff to also proceed as directed.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion second, meeting adjourned.